All right, what is going on, guys? This is Logan with West Desert Wheeler. I am super excited for today's video because I have been building this car since February of 2023. It is now October of 2023. So it's been a while in the works, but what we were waiting on were some solid servo mounts for the F10 axles so that I could 4-link and put servo on axle. The car that we're going to be driving today is my UC Fab JHF Moonbuggy fully licensed chassis. This is a clone of the competition cars that I used to go and compete with. So I was a spotter for a professional level driver, and I basically ran around and told him not to run into cones. But I've always really liked these cars, and spending time with their full-size counterparts has been really fun and cool. For me, this is the closest I'm going to come to owning one, at least in 2023, so this is what I chose to go with. Now, UC Fab has other chassis options. More common one is the Prickle chassis, which is kind of a little bit easier to get a hold of. These had to be handmade. The jig itself was only at Kyle's place, so Kyle over at UC Fab handmade this. He's also got a real Jesse Haynes Moonbuggy, so super cool. He sent the original video of my chassis sitting on top of his car, and just all the tube work and everything. This is a replica clone of the real thing, so it's super cool. I've also got a little 3D printed engine in the back, and we're gonna see how that holds up. But I have Artful Dodger servo on axle mounts. We're gonna talk about all the details on the car here in a minute, but rear steer, Vanquish aluminum F10 axles and aluminum knuckles, all sorts of fun stuff. Let's hit the rocks and see how my Moonbuggy handles this terrain. All right, guys, here we go. Maiden trip with this car. Now, I guess that's not entirely true. I've driven this car twice. So originally I had 3D printed servo on axle mounts, and I was very appreciative of the opportunity to try those. Unfortunately, just my driving style does not mend well with 3D printed parts. And I have very good, strong servos in this car. I've got a couple Reefs raw 800s with BEC power going to them. So they're cranked up to 8.4 volts. So these things have like 800 ounce-inches of torque. So a 3D printed mount just isn't gonna hold up to the binds and the abuse that I put my car through. So let's talk a little bit more about the build itself. Got the UC Fab chassis, a UC Fab flat skid that's a blank. And then I put a Dlux portal transmission in this car. The chassis itself is the 6th chassis made by UC Fab that is the Moonbuggy clone. So this is Moonbuggy number 6 from UC Fab. So power going through that Dlux portal transmission is provided by a Hobbywing Fusion Pro 2300 kV motor. Kind of my standard, but just super smooth and quiet and compact size. Now that's key because inside this cage there is not a lot of room. So having a small transmission like the Dlux portal with a easy, very minimal wire motor and ESC combo like the Fusion is ideal. Headed out of the transmission, we've got Incision steel drive shafts with the universal joints. Those are just super cool and like fun to watch. Yeah, right there. Just really cool drive shafts and very strong as well. So I like those from Incision. I have those on a few of my cars. And then those Incision drive shafts are powering our F10 aluminum axles. These are the portal. So these are the same axles as like a steer axle on a Vanquish Phoenix portal. So these are Phoenix axles essentially. And the reason I went with Phoenix over Capra is because I've got some reference photos of real Moonbuggies, and the width of these axles is more appropriate for this chassis than Capra axles. These just look more like the real car. Looking at like how much offset there is between the inside sidewall and the door panels on the real car, this just kind of matches. And I was able to get some really awesome photos of Dave Wong's car. So thanks, Dave, for letting me take some good pictures of your car. Also had some old videos of Jesse Haynes and his car, and they're both very similar builds as far as width and chassis and stuff. But yeah, these F10 portals, man, they give you some steering angle. Check out how cranked over those rears are. This is like a really high risk line, so, you know, just hanging it all out on the line, very first thing. We're gonna try some tough lines out here today with the UC Fab. So far, absolutely killing it. Looking great. On the outside of those F10 portals, we've got Vanquish 2.2 KMC machete wheels with full scale hardware, scale hub hardware, scale ring hardware. Looks fantastic. Those rings do get hung up on some rocks on occasion, but they just look too good not to do it. There we go. Now we're gonna go get turned around. I guess we could try climbing this wall and then kind of crabbing through it. There we go, finally got our fronts up and over really high. That's gonna be our best opportunity here. Now we've got the heavy Vanquish F10 brass up front. They have two options for the F10 portals, and this is the heavy one. Yeah, there we go, come on. Nice! Moonbuggy pulls it off. Super sweet. I guess we could do some real Moonbuggy stuff and do like a reverse entry now. So this is absolutely something you would see in a competition or whatnot. I've seen people practice it out on the trails, but typically most trails you're not reverse dropping off stuff unless you're Jeff Cliven. Shout out to Jeff. There we go. And this is risky. There's a big wall down there. I do not want this car to fall. I'm going to treat this one a little better than most of my other cars. Perfectly planted all the way down. Now we're ready to head on to the next canyon. But overall, just super excited to have this thing out on the trail. I've had this on the shelf for a very long time, and it's been almost complete the whole time. Just those few little details where it wasn't quite ready to go out and drive and get a video of it, but loving it so far. So really, when you look at where all the weight is on this car, this thing should be a very excellent performer. All the servos are low on the axles with those low servo and axle mounts, just the design that they are. And then on top of that, the Dlux portal transmission is very small and lightweight, and it's mounted very close to the skid. The motor is down low on the skid. So just all the big heavy components of the car are low in the chassis. Like, I feel like the center of gravity is somewhere near the skid plate level. And then on top of that, we got the heavy F10 brass weight, aluminum F10 axles, which I always feel like people think the aluminum axles weigh a lot more than they do. Like, they're really not that much heavier than their plastic counterparts, really. Nice, just making slow, continuous work on this obstacle in this canyon. Just super fun. Cool to watch this car work, watch the suspension articulate. So on the outside of those Vanquish 2.2 wheels, we have my own cut and shut tires. I hand make and modify these BFG crawlers in G8 compound. I cut the tire open, I add more tire to it, and it ends up being taller while maintaining its narrow profile as well. So it's a tall, skinny tire. It's not real big like the other 2.2s on the market are. Also, the crawler is not available as a 2.2, so making your own is kind of your only option. And this just turned out to be a super clean set that probably like a set that I'm most proud of. And so I held on to these for this build.
these were just another normal set I was going to make and throw on my website and sell, westdesertwheeler.com. But just inspecting them after making them, like I always do, make sure all the joints and everything look good, I just realized, like, man, this is a really good set, all 4 of them. And so I decided to keep this one for my UC Fab. Yeah, let's just take a look at the steering angle available on this thing. It's crazy. These F10 axles are awesome. I'm a big fan. And great choice for a car like this. All right, we're gonna try another obstacle that's notoriously difficult for me. I don't know if I've ever tried it with a build similar to this. Narrow with rear steer. So my cut and shuts have squid inserts from SL3D. Shout out to SL3D. Thank you very much, Neil, for the support on many of my projects. And you can find squid inserts for my cut and shuts specifically from SL3D. So greatly appreciate the support from those guys. And they fit perfect. They are just an excellent performing insert as well. They're 3D printed, so they're water resistant, proof. They fight side hilling like crazy. You can side hill really hard on these things and they don't roll over. Oh, that was close. These crawlers are still so new, they haven't been scrubbed in. Come on. Okay, I need to drop the front and then start driving the rears up and switch back the front. It's like this weird dance balance thing. It's super close. Come on, car. Ah, oh, it's so close. It's fighting for it. Super smooth, controllable, predictable. Oh, that was so close. It was there, man. It is right there. Like, it just doesn't. It's so close. So what other details are there on this car? The 3D engine is from Scale Design by Mr. Comma D. It came in a green color. I'm not sure why. I'm sure that he just assumes you're going to paint it. And I have not done that yet. So mine's still green. But it is a Chevy Ecotec engine, which is scale accurate to a Moonbuggy, so very cool. And then UC Fab also has an engine mount option, which it is screwed into. Okay, I think we finally got it up into Mousetrap. Fully flexed on a crazy side hill. Big drop, high risk. She pulls it off. Way to go, UC Fab. Took a couple tries, but we made it. I've got multiple rigs that have been denied on that. That is a very tough line. Thanks to rear steer, we were able to just squeeze it in there, but I was just about ready to give up on it. But number 6 gets her done. Sick. So this is the hard entrance into Mousetrap, which also leads to a really fun obstacle my buddy Tyson came up with. So shout out to Tyson. And there's a little bit of a trick to this transition. You drop down a steep hill and go into a V notch, and you need to make a 90-degree corner. The key is to drive up this wall before you turn. There we go. For whatever reason, the suspension just likes it more doing that versus trying to turn at the bottom. And off she goes. Let's go run a difficult V-notch. This will be fun. F10 aluminum axles, F10 aluminum knuckles, brass portal covers on the front, aluminum portal covers in the rear, titanium tie rod on the rear, stainless steel on the front, 4-link front and rear, servo and axle front and rear. Jesse Haynes Moonbuggy, man. Super excited. Shout out and thank you to Cody at Sky RC for helping me out with getting the correct shock setup on this car. Cody knows this stuff, and it's the first time I had bought Traxxas shocks, and so he knew right off the top of his head what the different part numbers were, what length shocks they were. And I think these are 96 mils, somewhere right in there. It's like 98 or 94, 96. But Cody was able to help me out with that. I did want a long shock on this just so I could get quite a bit of articulation. Not that I necessarily think everything needs to be super flexy. It's just that the real cars they have a ton of articulation. So trying to keep it realistic with the real cars. And that's what we're doing here, is running wild lines just like the real ones do. And another funny thing is, I was looking at this car in comparison to my Capra axle builds, and as far as dodging gates is concerned, this car would be awesome at it because it's got a good long wheelbase, it's narrow, so it's going to climb big climbs, and it's going to be able to squeeze through the gates. And of course that makes sense because it's a clone of a real competition car. And I kind of laughed when I put that together. I was like, oh, well, duh. It's cloned after a comp car. It should be good at dodging cones. And of course it's going to have its weaknesses as well, like those side hills. Because it's narrow, it doesn't quite side hill as good, just like the real ones. Just because sometimes I get bored of running the exact same lines, I like to occasionally throw in some random entrances and alternatives. So this is another alternative line on Mousetrap. And it does increase the difficulty a bit, so we're going to try it with this guy. Look how planted this thing is, man. Super stable on a weird drop turn. Now we got to climb a bunch of ledges. All right, maybe we won't take the alternative bypass. We will crawl our way back over to where we came from and take the standard entrance. And that Reefs 800 just moved the whole front end of the car. That was funny. Come on, forward weight bias. Get it. Yeah, that ledge is like as tall as the car is. Oh, it almost had it. There she goes. Damn, that was a hell of a ledge. Way to go, UC Fab. Headed into Mousetrap. I think this is the first JHF to head into Mousetrap. There have been 2 Sasquatch cars that have gone through here. And I am referring to full-size cars. I've seen 2 of them in here now. Maybe I can convince Jesse to come out and try this line later, depending if he's feeling froggy or not. And knowing Jesse, he probably will be. That dude likes to party. Here we go. Gotta find some traction in the rears. So it's super cool to have the opportunity to own one of these, just because, like I mentioned, there's very, very few out there. And I think they're worth driving. So if you have one, get it out on the rocks. I am taking some care with this one. I'm not intentionally just bashing it, but she's out here being used, and that's what she deserves. This is a cool car. It's very capable, and I will continue to use it. Might not be my go-to, but on occasion, we'll go run the Moonbuggy. Here we go into Mousetrap itself, and very much so reminding us why it's called Mousetrap. Bunch of mouse poop down in the bottom of this. Need some rain, wash all that crap out. Now this is the fun part, is just watch the suspension work. As I start to climb that right side up, it's going to stretch that right rear out. And then we're going to work to keep our front end balanced where we want and level, and then use rear steer to our advantage as well. This is a narrow car. This obstacle is typically more difficult with narrow cars. Now fortunately, we've got rear steer to help us. We may need to pick a little different line here. Bit off a little too much on that front. There we go. This is where that scale hardware can bite you. So far, super smooth. Looking good. There it is. Brought that rear right up. Servo's fighting hard. These Reefs Rye 800s are kicking ass. Castle BEC, it's the small one. Ooh, big spider web in here today. All right, so we did something very key right there, is we drove those rears high on the wall. And what that's going to do is unload that front passenger suspension and help it drive up that wall that we're kind of using to bank around. There we go, rears are going to drop in. Nailed it. That's really fun to do when you can get that line right with the drag axle. Man, this is a huge spider web. I don't think anybody's been here in a while. Now my car is covered in spider webs. Perfect. There she goes. We're going to drop through. We got to drive that rear high on the wall to keep our chassis out of the rocks. Which I got to say, we have barely touched our chassis. This is a small, narrow car, so that really helps out. Nailed it. Dip under this bush. We made it through Mousetrap, no problem. All right, here's a bonus line I've never showed before. Drove this the other day with the Chupa before she went away. If you guys didn't catch that in one of my latest videos, I did sell the Chupa cage. But got to rock hop a little bit. These rocks do shift around when rain has come through and whatnot, so just got to figure out your line every time. There we go, able to push those rears up on the wall and give us a good bite. Nice, nice. Super capable, man. These servos are crazy strong, especially for a low profile. The 800s are doing killer. And now we've made our way up to then make a climb. Kind of like a gatekeeper. We we earned our right to try. There we go. I guess we could push off that rear wall just for a little assistance. Nice. Ooh. Okay. I want to drive that right rear in, and then I can turn down into it, and it'll help pressure that front left onto the ground and give us a ton of traction that we're looking for. Oh yeah. Sick. Do the same thing again. Beautiful. Now we got to make a transition up and over, which is not going to be easy unless you have the wiggly bits. Those guys right there. Okay. Gotta get that front left hooked up and over. There it is. We're gonna kick our rear over. We're on our skid. Oh! Oh no! Slowest roll there was. Okay, let's try this again. You know, what happens if we just try and climb this all the way to the top? That might simplify things. See if we can get that front left in that V at the top. Yeah, that's a much simpler line. Okay. Now we've got a really big steep climb here, and this one, wheel speed is your friend. This car has plenty of wheel speed, but if you get this line wrong, you come crashing down to the bottom. I really don't want to do that. Should we give it one try? Like, this thing really gets up and rips. So we'll try it, but I got to be ready to catch this thing. Okay, tracked straight. I like that. All right, she made it. That's all I ever have to do. From now on, I can just bypass it when I want. The UC can do it. We just proved that. The first one was a feeler, the second one was a real try, so basically one shot. Call it what you want. But there we are, guys. This is my UC Fab number 6 JHF Moonbuggy chassis. Loving it and performing excellent out here on the Red Rocks. This is just about the end of our trails today, so I actually ran 2 for you guys. So if you wanted to see some JHF Moonbuggy content, there it is. Thank you very much to UC Fab for helping me acquire one of these. You know, he can make them at will, so the fact he made me one is appreciated. So thanks, Kyle. Big old gold UC Fab. Thanks, Gene, for his help as well. Those guys have been awesome to work with. What's funny is this may not look like much, but this is probably going to be one of the most hard on the car obstacles, because we're going to end up pinched like this, and the scale hardware is going to dig into these rocks. Once you get 4 wheels and tires bound up like that, they don't like it. Yep, I predicted that, didn't we? Yep, I knew it. Car's gonna hate it. Okay, let's try again. Yep, she doesn't like it. Let's get a rear view and see if we can help it. I don't know how the hell my front got through so clean. That's out right there. Also, the overdrive pulls the rears into the rocks a lot more, as the overdrive will help it climb over the rocks. There she goes. Okay, holy cow. I've driven a lot of cars through there. I knew that was going to be a problem. Sick. She made it out. So thank you guys very much for watching. It's the people who watch all the way through that really help make this channel possible. And if you are a longtime subscriber, I used to have a Capra I called the Tiger Capra. In one of those videos where I had just put Vanquish axles on it, I was talking about the 3 metal chassis options that I had wanted. And at the time, I just didn't think that a UC Fab would ever actually happen. But here we are driving my UC Fab Moonbuggy out on the rocks. So it's been awesome to make and reach goals. And I can't thank you guys enough for the support here at West Desert Wheeler. I've created my own website and I've been able to do this full time. So thank you all very much for the support. I really appreciate it. And it's not lost on me, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the content. We will see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.